I saw this video. I'm not sure who's taping it. I think it's about this woman. She's in the ER after a concert, and she's been injured or assaulted by somebody at the concert. And somebody's videotaping it, how the doctor is treating her. I think she's videotaping it. And doctors are reposting that video and giving their opinion of the transaction between this woman and this ER doctor. And I kind of so I'll tell you about the video. She's kind of combative and she's distrustful, and I think she could have had a drink or two. I bet you anything she's on psych meds, and she's demanding, and she wants an MRI. And here's the problem that a lot of patients do. They do it without realizing it. They're exaggerating what's happening, and patients need to learn to not exaggerate, but speak factually. And the doctor is being he sounds like he's being fair and reasonable, and he's not raising his voice. He's remaining calm, and she's loud and distrustful and angry. And I bet you $1 million she's got complex medical PTSD. And I'm watching everybody's take on this, and the doctor who was reposting this video, his takeaway, he's commending the ER doctor, how he remained calm and respectful. Okay, well, you know what? That piece is overrated. That and unfortunately it's overrated in the minds of everybody. How people present themselves has way more importance to people than anything else. And here's my point. The doctor may have remained calm and respectful, but he may have 100% been wrong. And this woman is loud, she's angry, she's distrustful. She may have had a few drinks. Bet you $1 million she's got complex PTSD, and she doesn't present well. She doesn't present likable. And people may be against her just for the way that she presents. But the point is, she may be 100% correct in that she's injured. She went in asking for a spine MRI because she's injured and it's affecting her ability to walk. She's exaggerating and saying she's paralyzed. She's not paralyzed. But the whole point, my point I'm making, is doctors are reposting this video as if to say, look how great doctors are and look how unreasonable patients can be. But the underlying thing that most people can't see in that presentation of that video is that patient may be 100% correct. Her spine may have been injured. And people don't realize that because they're so thrown off. They're going by how they feel about the doctor and how they feel about the woman. And that's not what counts in medicine. What counts is discernment. What counts is what is really medically happening here. And sadly, that, court of public opinion can win over. She's asking for a spot, and I'm not okay. So during this conversation, he's saying, well, maybe we should look at your mental health, because I see from previous notes, you have something like you've been previously delusional about your health issues and blah, blah, blah. I don't even know how to say this. There's no reason for anybody to believe that is true. You can be misdiagnosed by 25 doctors, by 50 doctors, and there could be a long string of derogatory comments in your medical records that are all incorrect. And what that mess in your medical records does to you, it hangs you before you've even walked through the door. So when you walk through the door, the ER doctor or whatever physician or specialist you're seeing right now reads all those derogatory comments, and you've got 1,000 strokes against you already when you haven't even met the doctor. So the doctor's coming in thinking, most doctors are not open-minded enough to understand that all that might be incorrect. So most doctors are going to be walking through the door thinking that they're going to meet someone delusional, and they're going to be placating you and trying to calm you down and trying to say, hey, maybe we should, in a calm, reasonable manner, hey, maybe we should look at your mental health. When you have been long-term misdiagnosed, you've got medical PTSD, you've seen that kind, sweet, calm shtick 100 times. You've heard those words. What he's saying to you is, I've looked in your records. It appears that, you've had past experiences where you think you have medical issues when you don't. When a patient's been misdiagnosed over and over and over again, they've seen that calm, sweet, delusional presentation over and over again. And to an onlooker, to a passerby, to somebody watching that video, you think, oh, well, that doctor's being really nice and reasonable and kind and calm and respectful. But when they're wrong, when they have just added themselves to the team of, I'm going to misdiagnose you as well. I'm going to dismiss what you're saying. I'm going to minimize what you're saying because of all the derogatory comments in your record. That to you is like an assault. You've seen this over and over again, and it's not kind, it's not sweet, it's not respectful when they're wrong. And most people can't see that. And these are the people that most need an advocate. They most need a medical advocate, because when they go in to any facility, they can't properly represent themselves because of all the medical PTSD and because of all the garbage in their medical record. But that's the problem. Most onlookers, most people on social media who will support the doctor, they don't understand that this may have been going on for years. Also, people don't realize that this woman may be on various psych drugs, and I bet you $1 million she is, that are adversely affecting her, that can also be affecting the way that she presents herself. And most definitely, the medical PTSD is affecting the way she presents herself, and the mistrust that she has works against her. But it ticks me off that the way that almost everyone will react to that video is the exact reason why this woman will be turned away over and over again. And this gets worse and worse for a patient like that. The more time that goes by, the more time appointments they get where they're dismissed and stuff, they will become more and more angry, more and more combative, more and more distrustful. You know, this is exactly what was happening with my case. You start out sweet and you start out respectful. You start out trusting. You're the perfect patient. You're obedient. You do everything that they tell you. You're being told to do such and such as a treatment and you don't agree with it, but you're going to do it anyways to be respectful and not step on your doctor's toes. You're going to do what your doctor wants to do over and over again for years. You know you're being misdiagnosed. You know something's not right here. You're seeing specialists and you know that something's not right. You get to these specialists and you're being turned away. And then years and years go by and you know that something's not on the up and up. There's something happening why you're getting turned away. I had a doctor walk through the door and a nurse was in with me. So maybe this doctor's past experiences with patients now requires him to have a nurse in the room. I'm not sure. Or maybe they just want to do that as a safety protocol. So the nurse is in with me and he walks in the door and says, "There's nothing wrong with you." And I said, "Excuse me, what?" He said, "There's nothing wrong with you." And her and I look at each other. We're horrified. And I said, "How can you say that when you haven't even talked to me yet?" He said, "There's nothing wrong with you." I lifted up my shirt. I showed him the problem. And I said, I could walk out of here and lift up my shirt and show this to everybody in the waiting room, the 20 people in the waiting room, and they could come over and show me what the problem is, all these patients. And he said, "There's nothing there. There's nothing wrong with you." And the nurse and I are like, what is happening here? And I go back to my family doctor and I say what a terrible experience that was. And he was, dismissing everything before he even walked in the door. And I was, angry. And my family doctor says to me with this funny look on his face, "Oh, why do you think you always get the bad doctors?" And I'm looking at him and I said, "I don't know." And I'm wondering, and I cannot figure out what's going on. Like something is not on the up and up. And I said, "I don't know. I think I'm kind of being blacklisted or something. There's something not right." And he kind of suggested that I was paranoid. And I said, "Oh, no, there's something going on. There's something in my medical records or something." Now I find out years later, I got a copy. This is super important. I got a copy of the actual referral letter that my doctor sent to this specialist, telling this specialist that there was nothing wrong with me before I even got there. So this doctor took the appointment to get paid for the appointment while knowing that he's going to dismiss me before he even walked through the door. So he just saw me for 2 seconds to get paid for that appointment. But my family doctor told him nothing was wrong with me before I even walked through the door. And this specialist was being misled by my family doctor.